Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Emperor's Voice podcast. I am Emperor K, your host as always, and season's greetings for December the 25th. If you're looking to get a Christmas present for a member of your family or a friend, then I will help you out with video games. Anything else? I'm not an expert, so believe me when I say that, ladies and gentlemen. So I've got a list here, a short list, and I will be explaining to you why I picked these games for each genre and why I think they should be an excellent Christmas present for a loved one. But there are some games on my list that are console exclusive, so I will go through them later on in the show. And I also want to give some hints and tips on buying Christmas presents for loved ones, because believe me, I want to make sure that everyone is buying safely and they're not getting themselves into hot water or losing out on some money because of this. So I will share with you some tips and advice after I've read my list. And boy, what a list it is. Let's start off with the shooters genre then. We've got I picked 3 shooting games that have recently come out that I believe are really good ideas for Christmas presents. The first one, the obvious one, Fallout 4. Yeah, the classic first-person shooter back 7 years ago when Fallout 3 was first released for Xbox 360 and PS3. It's finally got a sequel. Released back in November, and it was a really good game, I gotta admit. But I was a little skeptical on Fallout New Vegas. I enjoyed the third actual Fallout game where you were from Vault 101, but Fallout New Vegas, I'm not so sure about that one, but I'll have to keep playing that to see what I think about that. Yeah, so Fallout 4, one of the best first-person shooters with the targeting assistance system. That's one of my favorite things about the Fallout series, where you get to use something like that and it comes out really well. You get to aim more accurately better than any other first-person shooter game. And we are going to go on to another first-person shooter game actually, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Well, I should also advise you to get this on PlayStation 4, because you get all DLC 30 days before any other console. And this is a game that has gotten back into its original roots. A lot better multiplayer modes, including the not so brand new, the actual relaunch of the zombie mod. That looked really awesome on the trailer at the Paris Games Week. So yeah, definitely get it on PS4 if you want. If you got an Xbox One, you're gonna have to wait 30 days. Sorry, but that's what's happened. So Sony has got all the exclusive rights to who gets the DLC 30 days before anyone else. So if you got a PlayStation 4, you're actually quite lucky. If you got an Xbox One, you're gonna have to wait. So please be a patient saint when it comes to the DLC. And there is one other shooting game that I would definitely recommend, especially to all the Star Wars fans out there when the film comes out. Star Wars Battlefront. That is a game you definitely have to buy if you're a Star Wars fan. I played the original Battlefront games all those years ago, back on the PlayStation 2 in my teen youth days. So yeah, definitely, I'm looking forward to this at Christmas myself. Yeah, and it's all the features that I saw. It's pretty awesome. I'm really looking forward to playing that game yet again. So let's go on to the adventure genre. Anyone who plays adventure games, do leave a comment on Facebook, because I want to know if the adventure genre is actually still good. Ever since the first adventure game back all those years ago. If not, I want to know what has made it so meek. The first one is the Minecraft story mode. Yeah, if you've played the Sam and Max series or maybe an adventure game like that, then this is definitely a game for you. So I definitely recommend getting this. Also, if you're a big Minecraft player, I know that there's a lot of Minecraft video makers out on YouTube, and I think that when you show off your Minecraft skills, it shows how creative that you are with any software developing tools or world building. It shows that you're a creative guy. Definitely something that the games industry is looking into. And when Minecraft was launched all those years ago, it actually became a huge popular trend, especially with the young children now these days, because they are developing their creativity skills, learning to solve problems by looking into, problems that have occurred in one of their buildings. Definitely something to look forward to if you are a big Minecraft player. Adventure games worth sticking to, because there is one more that I strongly recommend if you are one of these games players. Assassin's Creed. Yes, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I definitely would recommend this to anyone who played the Assassin's Creed series. In fact, I'm definitely going to have to look into getting Assassin's Creed Syndicate for Xbox One, because when I first played the Assassin's Creed game back in 2007, 2008, I think? Yeah, well, those sometime during that period. When I played Assassin's Creed, I thought it was really awesome because there was some friendly NPC characters that you could blend in with, do these little missions, but it felt so repetitive. But when Assassin's Creed 2 came out, with Ezio as the main character of that game, it really changed the balance of Assassin's Creed. You had the whole city to refurbish, you had to make sure that you were getting enough money, little things like that to make sure that you were progressing through the game. So yeah, I definitely recommend Assassin's Creed Syndicate, especially since it is in England's historical times, London most preferably. But I really would like to see a open world game involving my hometown of Glasgow, Scotland. That is something that I would definitely like to see in the future. Or maybe I can just make it myself, who knows. An arcade game, a really popular one, I've got to say, Shovel Knight. It's one of those 8-bit games where you had to control a knight using a shovel as a weapon. Now, I gotta admit, that looked a little silly at first. I mean, what kind of a knight uses a shovel? I mean, seriously, what happened then? But never mind, the creators have actually launched Shovel Knight for disc version, so definitely something to look forward to. If you've played some classic 8-bit or 16-bit games, 16-bit, then you are definitely going to enjoy this. If you haven't played it, I strongly recommend playing Shovel Knight. If you haven't played any of the 16-bit genre games, this Shovel Knight is definitely a game you should look into. Because I grew up in the 32-bit genre when it was the Super Nintendo at the time, and then the Nintendo made that huge transition from 2D to 3D, and that totally blew my mind. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed the 3D compatibility of the Nintendo 64, and I still miss it, even to this day. Another genre that I'm going to read about, the fighting genre. If you played games like Street Fighter or BlazBlue, then this is a genre for you. And speaking of BlazBlue, that is one of my recommended games. It is the third title, Chrono Phantasm Extend. Definitely, I've played the past two BlazBlue games on PS3, and I gotta say, it really got me back into the fighting game genre. Maybe not with Dead or Alive or Tekken, but definitely, I enjoyed BlazBlue a lot. It really brought me back to the days of Street Fighter. Yeah, it's really one of those fun games. And another fighting game that has also been released some time ago, Mortal Kombat X. Mortal Kombat! Oh man, I really like that theme song. I wish iTunes had it on sale so that I can get it onto my iPod. Yeah, Mortal Kombat X for Xbox One and PS4. This is a really good fighting game. When Mortal Kombat was relaunched some time ago, it really made that huge transition with a 2D fighting scenario but with 3D characters and the storytelling that was like, wow, what an amazing game. I was really hoping that there could be a new Mortal Kombat game. So I'm definitely going to have to play the old Mortal Kombat game on PS3 sometime soon, because I really would like to, hopefully one day, play Mortal Kombat X. And for all you wrestling fans out there, WWE 2K16. And the cover superstar, none other than the Texas Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, and I think Stone Cold Steve Austin was a perfect fit for the game. And this WWE 2K16, it's more realistic than WWE 2K15 when it was released last year. Some new modes were introduced. NXT superstars have been added to the roster, so you can play as Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, Kevin Owens, and I think you can also play as Sami Zayn. And you can also get more divas now. Well, with the huge women's revolution that's been happening in sports, I think we've got some more divas out on the roster. But I hope that 2K Games actually includes divas into the cover of the game, because believe me, that would really drive female gamers to getting the game. And it's common knowledge, advertising knowledge. If you want female gamers to get WWE 2K he's 17 maybe next year, which I'm pretty sure that they will do, make sure that you also add something that even the female gamers can relate to. Maybe include viewers like Paige or Charlotte. You never know, it could come out with some positive results. Experiment a little, see how things go. It's really something that 2K, I hope that they do in the future. So let's go on to the music genre, and there's only one game that I can definitely recommend for the music genre, and it is Guitar Hero Live, their biggest actual collection of soundtracks that has been released. It is huge, and it's more lifelike than what it was when it was released all those years ago back for the PS2, and it is, I gotta say, it is the most realistic guitar controller and the most realistic game, because you can now see the audience from a first person view. How awesome is that? It's really rare to see a player actually see things from the guitarist's point of view. I don't think it has ever been done before. Well, I think that was an awesome idea for the Guitar Heroes studio to actually do. It was really awesome. And I really hope that Guitar Hero makes a lot of money. And it's doing so, especially with the advertising. This is what I said about the Rock Band game. Rock Band, they did not have the advertising advantage that Guitar Hero has. That was the downfall of Rock Band 4. That's why it never got up high enough on the top 10 charts last month. So definitely, Guitar Hero making a lot of impact, especially through the advertising. Definitely. Get Guitar Hero if you want to be a musician. It's not drummers, no drums, no vocals, nothing like that. It is all Guitar Hero. All guitar, all the time. And with the added inclusion of all those soundtracks that are being added to their online store, you are literally spoiled for choice on what song you want to play. If there's a famous genre or an artist that you want to play, go ahead and find him, or her, or it, or whatever. Just make sure that you get Guitar Hero and be a part of the music. And when I covered WWE 2K16 earlier on in the podcast, it was not only just a fighting game, but it was also a sports game. So this is the next genre that I'm going for. WWE 2K16, definitely a sports game that I would recommend if you're a big WWE fan, or you know somebody who is. And another sports game for all the football fans out there, FIFA 2016. Yes, FIFA 2016. I would say Pro Evolution Soccer, but I don't know what Konami has done to make this a more realistic football game. With FIFA 2016, you've now got the inclusion of female teams. I think there's also going to be the females Celtic team, Arsenal. All those big names in the football genre, they have been included into the game. I really hope that Pro Evolution Soccer also adds those female players, because I really hope that it's also catching up on the trend of women's sports and whatnot, because this is a trend that everyone is definitely keeping their eye on, and I know I am. In fact, I just saw some news reports on the 29th of November. All the female teams in Great Britain have been mentioned about the Euro qualifying. In fact, Scotland actually beat their opponents 10-0. Have you ever heard a male team in like Manchester United, City, Liverpool or Arsenal do that to an opposing team? I have never heard of something like that before in my life, ladies and gentlemen, and believe me, despite my knowledge of, well, my limited knowledge of football, this is the first. So kudos to the female football players. I tip my hat to them. They have really stepped up their game, and they are making believers out of me, and I hope believers out of all of my listeners. And we're going to stick with football for the sports, because there is a Football Manager 2016 for PC that I also strongly recommend. It's where you get to be the manager of your favorite football team. And yeah, you can also decide on which players you want to buy, you want to sell, you want to improve. It's a more realistic simulator for your football managers' dreams. And I know, well, I remember my dad, he used to play the Football Manager game on his PC when I was just a little kid, and he really liked it. And I really hope that this new Football Manager sim game will also, if you're a father and you play the Football Manager game and your son would like seeing you play the game, I really hope that your son shares the same experience that I have. Believe me, this is something that you cannot pass up, especially a game like Football Manager. You could even be either virtual Alex Ferguson. Yeah, the virtual Alex Ferguson of Football Manager 2016. And there is one more sports game that I really strongly recommend to you, especially this year. Blood Bowl 2. If you are a big Games Workshop fan and you have played one of their spin-off games, the Fantasy American Football game is now available on consoles and PCs. Yeah, you heard me, consoles. Blood Bowl 2 is now on PS4 and Xbox One, and I hope, in fact, I think I'll get Blood Bowl 2 on PS4, because when I tried it on PC, I was awful. I didn't get much of the game, so yeah, I really think that this new Blood Bowl game is it's better than the last one. We've got more teams, more customization now than ever before, and we get access to a new race for the game. So definitely, if you're a big American football fan or big rugby fan, Blood Bowl 2, American football, that is the sport. Blood Bowl 2 is the game to get. And hopefully, if you know anyone who likes American football, just tell them to YouTube Blood Bowl 2 or Blood Bowl 1, depending on what game you'd like. Because believe me, this is definitely a fun game. And I tried it out the board game version myself, and I gotta say I got lucky, but I lost in the end. Yeah, I wasn't really that good with the tabletop version, but. You win some, you lose some. And there is one more genre that I'd like to go over with everyone on my podcast. My favorite genre, strategy. Yes, strategy games. More specifically, StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. The new StarCraft 2, the last of the trilogy, has been released a few weeks ago on November, and my brother got it for me. He got me the collector's edition, and I strongly recommend anyone who wants to try out StarCraft 2, get Legacy of the Void. I strongly recommend that. Or ask a loved one for StarCraft 2 for Christmas, because believe me, you want to make sure that you get your partner a really good Christmas present. And I think for people who want to play strategy games for the first time, StarCraft 2 is the game to get, definitely. But for all of you who have played Japanese strategy games, Disgaea 5, that is another recommendation that I offer to you. As a huge Japanese gamer myself, I think this Disgaea game is the best Disgaea game that has come out ever since Disgaea 3. Just don't ask me why, but I really think that this Disgaea game is the best game that has been released so far by Nippon Ichi Software. It's better than the last ones. There's more playable classes, even though the voice acting isn't really that good. The story is, it's like all Disgaea games. It's chaotic, it's confusing, but it's fun in either way. So definitely get Disgaea 5 if you're a big strategy gamer yourself. But there is one thing that I have to tell you, that Disgaea 5 is for the PlayStation 4. It's a PlayStation exclusive, but I will be going over the exclusives next. And I want to start off with Wii U. I'm not going to start off with PS4s, I want to start off with Nintendo, because those were the first, one of the biggest names in gaming. So yeah, let's go over with the Wii U exclusives. Let's start off with the sports genre. Mario Tennis Power Smash, that is coming out for Nintendo Wii U. It is a bigger Mario Tennis game that has ever come out ever since the GameCube relaunched it. And I really think that this Mario Tennis, it could do a lot more sales if it was advertised on kids' TV channels like Cartoon Network or Disney XD. So I don't think internet sales, promotions, are really going to cut it for the game. So I really think that kids' channels should be the place for Nintendo to advertise Mario Tennis. And there is another Mario game that I strongly recommend. Two more. Let's go to the first one. Mario Kart 8. The biggest Mario Kart game that's been released so far. With Gravity Defiance tracks, it is the best Mario game that I have seen in a long while. And one of my favorite tracks from Mario Kart 64 is also in the racetrack list for Mario Kart 8, and it is the Rainbow Road. Now that was the longest track that I have ever played on a Mario Kart game ever, and it was a lot of fun. I really liked playing it again, especially on Mario Kart 8. There's no gravity-defying tracks, and we still had that giant chain chomp trying to mow us down as we went up that track. And it was huge! It was really huge! I really liked that game, and hopefully, I'll go back and play it again, because that was a fun racing game. And the other Mario game that I'm recommending is Super Mario Maker, where you get to design your own Mario levels. And I have been talking about level designers on that Minecraft story mode game. This is what I'm talking about. Mario Maker is another great place for game developing studios to scout creative video game designers, level designers, so that they can prove that how smart they are, and to say, hey, look, I created a level, this is what I can do, maybe you'd like to take me on in the future. I don't know. This is definitely the game that any Mario fan would like, and it is also the game for any games business or studio to scout out for potential level designers in the UK, or maybe even the world. So I'm definitely thinking that if you are a creative person, or you know somebody who's creative, Super Mario Maker is the game to get. And the last Wii U exclusive game that I am recommending to everyone that is listening to this podcast is a role-playing game. We haven't covered a lot of role-playing games on this episode of The Emperor's Voice, because there wasn't a lot that was released this year. Xenoblade Chronicles X. That is a game that I strongly recommend for all role-player games on Wii U. And this is a really good console exclusive. Open world, there's 2 special editions that have been launched on the Nintendo Shop website here in the UK. And it is I'm thinking about, maybe in 2 weeks or 3 weeks time, or maybe after Christmas, I'm definitely gonna get Xenoblade Chronicles X after Christmas, and I definitely want to play that game soon. And it looks really awesome, especially with those giant robots. Those giant mechs, they were really awesome, and I definitely would like to play that game in the future. So definitely a game for me to look out for in the near future. And I'm gonna stick with Nintendo, because I want to go through the 3DS games, the exclusive 3DS games that I would strongly recommend for anyone out there. The first one is Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes. Now that is a 3-player game, and it is not the first time that Legend of Zelda has gone multiplayer. Remember when I said Legend of Zelda actually had a game where you could actually play with 4 other friends? That was called The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures, and it was released on the Nintendo Game Boy Advance when Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past was re-released for the Game Boy Advance all those years ago. And I think I've still got that game in my collection, my Game Boy Advance collection, and it was a really good game, but when I wanted to play 4 Swords Adventures, I couldn't. I needed 3 other friends to play with, and I didn't have any of those. But with 4 Swords Adventures re-released for Nintendo 3DS, I could actually play it on my own, because it included an AI where it could follow you, or you could swap links out. That was the best thing about The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. But Triforce Heroes, this is the latest Legend of Zelda multiplayer game for the Nintendo 3DS and 2DS that I would strongly recommend if you're a Zelda fan, or you want to get into the genre and see what I'm talking about. Another 3DS game that I'm strongly recommending, another strategy game, but it wasn't included in my original list, Code Name Steam. Now that was a really fun steampunk strategy game where you had to control a team of 4 more characters and shoot down aliens, and that looked really awesome. And especially when I was playing it, it was a really fun game, and I'm gonna have to get back into that game as soon as I can, because I really liked it. It's been a while since I've played that game, but I really hope I haven't lost my touch. And the amount of strategy that comes with it, the characters that you can choose, the different Steam equipment that you can use and fire, that was pretty awesome. All that selection, definitely a strategy game, in my opinion, for all 3DS players if you like strategy games. There is one more game that I am recommending, Puzzle and Dragons Z and Puzzle and Dragons Super Mario Edition. That was released this year, and it was a very fun. Well, it is still a very fun game. If you've got an iPad, look up Puzzle and Dragons. That is the original Puzzle and Dragons game that was released. It was officially released in Japan as an iPad game or iPhone game, depending on what device you like to use, well, the most time. And I played it myself. I tried playing it myself, and it was really fun. The amount of the characters that I could find, collect, it was really fun for me. And I still play the tablet game even to this day, because there's always new dungeons for players to go into. The latest one that there was also collaborations, and so where Gung Ho, the company that makes it, actually brings in more characters from, well, not only their own games, but different anime shows and video games. And there has been a Final Fantasy collaboration between Gung Ho and Square Enix, and some of those characters were released into the UK. Definitely, that was one of my favorite collaborations in the game so far, and I really look forward to seeing more collaborations. And yeah, Puzzle and Dragon Z, Puzzle and Dragon Super Mario Bros. Edition, that is a game that I strongly recommend. If you like Super Mario but you haven't tried out Puzzle and Dragon Z or the tablet version of the game, I definitely would recommend that puzzle game to anyone. And essentially, since you're getting 2 games for the price of 1, and I will strongly recommend getting it from the Nintendo shop, and I will explain why later. And let's go on to the PlayStation 4 exclusives. These are some of the games that you can only get on the PlayStation 4. That's why they are called exclusives. The first game that I am recommending for all PlayStation 4 users, Dragon Quest Heroes. That is the game where you mix Dragon Quest and Dynasty Warriors together to create such an awesome game. I've been playing it for a couple of weeks now, and it is awesome. Fighting all of those famous Dragon Quest monsters is really, really worth the effort. And you get to play not only as Tecmo Koei exclusive characters, but you can also play original Dragon Quest heroes. If you've played some of the past Dragon Quest games, like I played Dragon Quest 8, you get to play as your favorite character from those games. Definitely a PlayStation 4 exclusive. But I recommend that you be quick with this, because I heard that it's coming out for PC. I don't know when and I don't know how, but it will be coming out. Another exclusive, it is Tales of Cesteria. The Tales series is a very famous series in Japan, and it officially started, I think, back on PlayStation 2. I'm gonna have to look into the history of that game series, but definitely a game that I recommend. This Tales series has made a lot of impact, especially here in the UK, and it's made another game, and it is released here in the UK. I'm thinking about getting that sometime soon, but definitely not this year, maybe next year. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on my bank account and find out if I should get it or not. And the last game for PlayStation 4 that I strongly recommend for all racing fans out there, especially the social ones, Drive Club. More specifically, the Bikes Edition. Because when Drive Club was first released last year, it had a lot of hiccups. The online capabilities wasn't that strong, and Drive Club has released the bikes version for everyone out there. It was immediately launched after the Paris Games Week conference, and I think this is a game that if you like motorcycles and racing, this is definitely a game for you, and I hope to get it one day myself. I like to see what all the big fuss is about. And that just leaves us with Xbox One. I've skipped PlayStation Vita because there hasn't been a lot of AAA rated games for that console as of late. So definitely, if you have a PlayStation Vita, there could be a chance for some new PlayStation Vita games to come out into the future. Maybe the near future, mid next year maybe, but not right now. The first Xbox One game that I strongly recommend for anyone out there, Forza Motorsport 6. The most realistic Forza game that I have seen in a long while. And I've not played a lot of Xbox games in a long while myself, ever since PlayStation 3 had its little incident. So I'm definitely thinking about getting Forza Motorsport 6 in the near future. And it is a definite must-have for all racing gamers out there to have. And the final recommendation that I am giving for my list, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Now, it will be coming out as, well, it will no longer be an Xbox exclusive. It is coming out for PlayStation 4, and it is the sequel to Tomb Raider when it was launched some time ago. Definitely some game that if you're a big Lara Croft fan, then get it for Xbox. Or if you want to wait, get it for PlayStation 4, because it is a game definitely worth playing. And this leaves me to the last bit of the show, the advice. So I will try and explain it as best I can. The first piece of advice that I would give to you when you're looking to buy a video game, make sure that it is brand spanking new. Anything that has been second hand could have all those scratches. There could be a virus written to the code by someone else. You don't know where that game has come from or how long that owner has. Definitely be careful when you're buying second-hand games, but I strongly recommend buying the games brand new from your retailer. And speaking of retailers, you've definitely got to make sure that you're also getting the best price for your game. Make sure that you go not only into the store, but also go online when you're looking for the game for your Christmas present or for someone else. Make sure that they are getting the best price available. And my last piece of advice for you, if you are buying a game from Amazon or eBay, make sure you do a clear background check, because all suppliers on eBay and Amazon have to have a star rating. If their rating is above 90%, it is a website that you can trust. If it's below that, definitely avoid them as best as you can, because they could have something like maybe more than one bad experience for customers. Definitely something that you have to keep an eye out for. So make sure that you are trusting the supplier, and make sure that you are also getting the best deal for your games, because deals can change every week depending on how strong the market is, and you have to make sure that you are not getting ripped off when you're buying second-hand games. It is a definite sign that it could be that you have purchased a very bad game. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of my advice and the end of the podcast. Next week, we are back to normal. Yes! Oh, thank goodness. Oh, well, I'm going to have to do this again next year, so be prepared for the worst. Yes, so the topic for next week's Emperor's topic, it is pop culture and video games. Do leave a comment on Facebook and YouTube, and I will be sure to read them out in the future. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for my podcast. Thank you for listening. Have a good weekend and safe shopping out there. Definitely.